Hey, Dominic Steele here, and the conference organisers have asked me to put together a little video outlining my journey into Christian ministry. And I went along to one of these conferences. It was the 1990 October long weekend, and I was so profoundly challenged that weekend, I actually walked away not sure whether or not I wanted to continue being Christian. Because I worked out on that weekend that I did have the gifts for Christian ministry, in that whether it was leadership or communication, those kind of, that actually if I was Christian, I should go into Christian ministry. But I wasn't sure I wanted to. And so I had to go right back to first principles and work out whether or not the gospel was true all over again. I had to work out whether or not Jesus really did rise from the dead. And I came to see that my current position of, if you like, 2 or 3 evenings a week of Christian activity plus church on Sunday was actually not a sustainable position. I either had to stop being Christian or do the logical thing, which was give up my career and make the choice to go into full-time Christian ministry. So for me, actually, there've been 3 really big Jesus is Lord decisions. There was the decision to become a Christian, and that decision actually was to stop sleeping with a girlfriend, to put Jesus as Lord in sexuality. There was a decision, a second decision, which was a decision to start being generous with money so that Jesus would be Lord in the money area. And then there was a third decision that Jesus would be Lord in work. And so a couple of months after that conference, researching, thinking, I went to the senior pastor at our church and said, I'd like you to think about whether or not you'd have me as a ministry apprentice on the church team come the next calendar year. And a few months later, he came back and invited me to be a ministry apprentice for the church. And I made so many mistakes. And that line that they talk about is that you come on the ministry apprenticeship in order to make mistakes. I made so many mistakes, but it was a safe environment where I could make mistakes, and there would be somebody to both coach me, back me up, help me to pick me up and keep on going forward. I was so glad that nobody pressured me to go into Christian ministry, because when it was really hard that first 6 months, I only had myself to blame for this decision. We went through the 2 years of the ministry apprenticeship. I went to theological college. I did a 3-year degree at Moore Theological College. At the end of it, or halfway through really, there was a question of what to do next. And the question really was, they talked in the language of platform costs, and every ministry you do, you're standing on a platform. You either build your own platform or you stand on somebody else's platform. Well, I decided to try and build my own platform. And as a radio journalist, I decided to be the missionary to the lost tribe of Sydney's media. And great freedom in building your own platform. On the one hand, you can do whatever you like. And I worked out I could do whatever I liked in Christian ministry as long as I could persuade 200 people that it was a good idea. In that I had to persuade people to financially back us, and it was a really scary time stepping out in faith to launch this new ministry. And we started Bible study groups at the Sydney Morning Herald, at News Limited, at Channel 9, at the Film, Television and Radio School, at UTS in the Communications faculty, at Macquarie Uni in the Media faculty there. And I was running 9 Bible study groups a week, and then we started 3 on a Wednesday night, and eventually we planted a church in Glebe. That little church on a Sunday night, it was a great night if we got 10 people. And I was preaching there. Things were growing. We moved out of the Glebe Library into Glebe Public School. It was a freezing cold winter. They wouldn't fix the heaters. So we moved to Annandale Public School. And then I had a conversation with the then Archbishop of Sydney and asked him if he would give me this building. Village Church wasn't called that then. It was called St Aidan's in Annandale. And as a clubhouse for the media ministry, and in return, I would take on the responsibility for the local ministry to the suburb. And at the time, this church had 13 little old ladies on a good day, 7 on a bad day, and it wasn't quite dead, but the vultures were hovering overhead. And so as I think back, I've actually been involved in planting one evening church and then repotting or planting a morning church over here at Annandale. And in the kindness of God, things grew. And now, what do? Well, I pastor the church in Annandale along with a team of people. I'm still responsible for the Christians in the media ministry. I chair a Christian ministry called Liberty, which is a pastoral ministry to same-sex attracted people. And I run a broadcast each Tuesday called The Pastor's Heart, aimed at encouraging and spurring on peers of mine in Christian ministry. And that's having an impact across Australia and, in fact, around the world. What did I learn in the MTS apprenticeship? I think I learned seeing the power of the Word of God up close, seeing people's lives totally transformed, becoming convinced of the value of one-to-one ministry. I think it was just a deep conviction that it is the Word of God and not any particular method that changes people, not any particular showy thing, but actually just the faithful preaching of the Word of God, whether it's done one-to-one, which is the most effective method, in small groups, or in the large group preaching context. I've ended up doing less of the small groups, less of the media work, and more of the team leading things. As time goes on, I think there's a truism in any kind of field, whether it's Christian ministry or in whether it's engineering or accounting or indeed journalism, that you do something and in the end you end up managing people and end up leading people. And so much of my week now, I'd say 3 days of my week is spent actually mostly in one-on-one meetings with our team or in small group planning meetings with our team. And then on the other 2 days a week, I tend to try and be an introvert and think about the Bible and think about whatever it is that I've got coming up. So that's what my week looks like in Christian ministry. I hope it's been helpful, and I'm very happy to answer any questions to encourage you on your journey into ministry if you wanted to email me at dominic@villagechurch.sydney.